All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We caught up with Coach Holmes, Coach Roger Holmes, head coach here at Dublin Fighting Irish here at the field house early this morning, Coach. You already had it. You're on the phone. You're doing, I guess, athletic director stuff.
AD stuff, trying to get some more, replace some coaches that have decided to move on or whatever, and trying to figure out who's got CDLs and who can drive buses and some of those administrative things it takes to try to keep a quality program running.
Yes, and you do run a quality program, Coach. We have a lot of respect for you, and we appreciate you taking time out and sharing with us and the community a little bit about spring practice. Now, spring practice, Coach, you always said you got a couple of weeks to kind of get a look at the kids and know what direction maybe you want to go in the summer to start working on kids in a more precise way. So let's just share with everybody kind of how you went into this spring with what you thought was going to be your personnel this year.
Well, it was spring to us is a time that when we've got a young man, for example, that's played a position the year before or 2 years in that position, and we think he could step right back in that position and not be set back from the fact we moved him around in the spring. Mm-hmm. Then we start experimenting a little bit, and we might take a young man that played like Levante Walden had played tight end for us all the way up to this point. Well, this spring we moved him to guard. We didn't think that we had the number of guards that we needed to be able to play on Friday night. We took a guy that had played tackle last year for us and looked at him at tight end, and just some things that you're able to evaluate as their strength development comes along. Their 40 times improve, or they put on weight. An example of Bruce Guyton had played tight end, and we moved Bruce down inside the offensive tackle. Malik Jones, who was a D tackle for us last year, but 40 time was really good. We moved him to a linebacker spot in the spring to see how do they look.
Sure.
And it's hard to tell that in the summer when you're wearing T-shirt and shorts.
Right.
So the 10 days for us in the spring is identifying young talent that didn't play a lot the year before, and then experimenting with some young men and maybe taking a look at them at another position. And some of those worked out very positive for us this spring.
All right, Coach, now, in the wing tee, you know it inside and out, but you got to have good linemen. You got to have a good guard. You got to have a couple of good guards, and it pays to have tackling right on. And that's why you're making those options.
And no doubt. For us, the wing tee offense, the number one factor in that offense is how well your guard play is. One of the advantages of the wing tee is you do not necessarily have to play with big offensive linemen. They need to be a little more athletic and a little quicker, not necessarily fast, but quick. In that 5-yard box area.
Sure.
So we feel like that we've identified some young men throughout the course of this spring practice. And for me, I'm also always trying to look ahead.
Sure.
And take these young men when they're ninth graders, they're coming in, and try to project, looking at your depth chart, who's seniors, who's graduating, who are we going to have to fill this slot in the upcoming years.
Sure.
Try to take an 8th grader and project where he's going to fit in and get that young man in a position that he's going to be able to stick in that spot for a while and help you immediately, when his time comes. And so we enjoy spring practice. Our emphasis on it is to run the football and defend the run. We threw some balls, obviously, in the spring scrimmage the other night and threw some fairly well. But our passing game emphasis for us occurs during the summer, during your 7-on-7 tournaments and those type things. So all in all, we thought spring was positive, and we got out of it without any major injuries. So hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah. Coach, we're going to take a short break, come back and talk about a little personnel, okay?
Awesome.
All right, be right back.
Dublin Nissan is fielding an all-star lineup, and you drive home huge savings. Drive a fully loaded Maxima SV, starting at $29,950. Dublin Nissan, the only dealer you will ever need.
All right, we'll welcome you back, Coach. Let's talk about your offensive line. We talked a little bit about that before the break, you know, and how you move some people around. Just share with us who you got there and also your key personnel in the backfield.
Well, we'll give it a shot here without the paper, and I may not mess it up, but we'll see. Tight end for us is, along with the guards, tight end for us is a huge part of our wing T system. And we moved Malik Jones from tackle out to tight end, and that's been a very favorable experience for us. Stephen Linton is only going to be a sophomore, and Stephen Linton is already being recruited quite a bit from Division I schools. He's a 6'4", 200-pound young man that can run a little bit. Well, he's at tight end right now, but there's a chance that Stephen could end up at wide receiver for us as we progress through the summer. But he's done a good job there. And then Donovan Walker, another senior to be at tight end. So we've got 3 upperclassmen or non-freshmen that are at tight end, and they've done a good job. The tackle positions for us, Bruce Guyton moved inside from tight end to tackle, and Bruce has had a phenomenal offseason in winter. He's gone from 210 pounds to 240, and a lot of the recruiters that are coming through here and taking a look are really excited about his potential.
Yeah.
At left tackle right now, we've got a returning starter in Jaden Darso. Colby Todd, a big old junior to be, about 6'3" and about 320. Is playing some offensive tackle for us as well as defensive tackle. And then, let's see, at our guard positions right now, we've got Moses Simmons, a senior. We've got Levante Walden, a senior, and Darius Blackshear, okay, are the 3 that we know are capable. And then the 4th one right now is Carter, a 9th grader for us that's done a pretty solid job. Now at center, we've got Malik Hazley, and we've also got Ty Seals. Both of those young men have done pretty good jobs, and they're upperclassmen. And a young man that had a phenomenal spring, which may allow us to do some things, is Nick Sumner. Nick is playing tackle. He's a sophomore, not as thick or he's long. He's about 6'3", but he doesn't weigh but about 185 or 190. But he's very quick and explosive off the ball. And, you know, if he can hone in there for us at tackle and do a good job, there's a chance we might move Jaden Darso to center and create some, it's about finding that best mix of all 5 guys to get on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So across the front, we feel like we've got a good mixture of experience and size.
Yeah, yeah. How about the backfield?
Backfield numbers are thin. We think the quality is pretty good, and we'll start with our quarterback position. Ramon Pittman had a very, very good, solid spring. Last year was tough on Ramon. All he'd ever been was a running back, and he ended up having to move to quarterback in spring, and so much to learn in that position. And you can just see the confidence level really rise throughout the course of spring practice.
Good.
Holden Baisden. Holden is a competitor. He's a winner. He's a phenomenal kid. Came out for football this spring and competing at quarterback, and I think he played some quarterback in the middle school, and it came back to him pretty quick, and he's doing some good things. Rodriguez Martin was our JV quarterback last year, and we really looked for some good things this spring, and I guess it was the second day of spring practice he got a severe ankle sprain and was unable to participate the remainder of spring. We think he's got some abilities, and we're certainly looking forward to him getting well in this summer and see where it goes. And then a couple of young 8th grade quarterbacks that we're excited to see how those young men progress. Now at fullback, we feel very good right now with Jermaine Cooley, just a sophomore to be, but he's a load to handle in there, and he's done a great job. And then we had a couple of returning kids that did not get to participate in spring practice. They've got some things they've got to get taken care of, and I feel comfortable they will. and Stacy Sharp and Jesse Jones. But then we had a couple other 8th graders, Grante Floyd and Donut Richardson. He did a good job for us, and I tell you, that kid's going to be a heck of a player. The halfback positions for us, right now at our left half position, we're dealing with Montarian Carswell, who's had a decent spring, is going to have to do a little bit better job of execution if he wants to hold on to his spot. You know, you've got to do things and do them the right way, and he's being pushed on a daily basis by Greg Jones, and Greg had a couple of nice touchdown runs in the spring scrimmage. So that competition is certainly going to heat up. At the right half position for us, we've got 3 young men that are competing over there, and Tyler Strickland, DJ Blackshear, and Eric Roberson. So all in all, we feel like there's some quality young men, but eventually the cream's going to rise to the top, and that'll be better. Now, an area, and the last one we're talking about here on offense is split end. That is wide open at this time. We do not feel comfortable in our wide receiver position with the young men that are playing out there. We're going to have to do a better job of consistency and playmaking. You got Kadarius Mack that's working out there. You've got, as I mentioned, we may end up moving Stephen Linton from tight end to wide receiver. We're just going to have to take a look at that this spring. But our wide receiver position right now is one that's going to have to improve.
Yeah, got time to grow, but not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not
Time's
a lot.
closing in quick.
Yeah. Coach, we'll take another short break, come back, talk a little defensive personnel, and see how many we have going both ways this year. Be right back. All right, welcome you back, ladies and gentlemen. at Dublin High School here in the field house with head coach Roger Holmes. And Coach Holmes, we're talking about the offense. We cover that well, but I know we're going to have some kids going both ways. By the way, how many do we have out in spring?
We finished spring with 55.
Not bad.
Not a bad number. I think there were 7 or 8 young men somewhere in the middle of spring practice said, hey, I want to come out for spring practice. And I said, well, we've already started, so if you want to go through the summer program like everybody else, we'll give you a uniform. You just need to be here on June 6th to start the work.
Yeah.
And
so
we'll see. And again, that number is not, it doesn't concern me a lot because really you're going to win and lose with young men that want to come to work every day, be productive, grow and get better. Unfortunately, a lot of times they want an ERW, that's eat, ride, and watch. And so we've got a good group.
Yeah. And Coach, football is different. You got to want to put in the work.
Well, it is, and it's, the heat that you deal with in the summer, the commitment across the course of the summer, and we're not doing anything different than any other program that's very sound and solid is doing. The kids are going to work during the summer for 4 days a week. They're going to acclimate themselves to the heat conditions that you're going to have to play in, and the reality of it is people want to see a productive product on Friday night.
Yes, sir.
You can dress 100, but if they don't ever show up and they don't ever work, it's not going to make a difference. You're going to have some young men that are dedicated, and we feel comfortable that we are able to have that type of person play football for us here at Dublin.
Coach, you've had a lot of experience through the year. You've had a lot of wins. 05, 06, you set records statewide. Over the years, you got how many wins now?
I think 194. So but there's 96 losses thrown in there too.
Yeah, maybe one or two ties.
One tie, and we all know when that one was. But the reality of it is experience is a good teacher. However, you still have to be able and willing to roll with the times. Times are different. When you and I went through school, and I'm probably older than you by a few years, but if you went home from practice and practice wasn't over, there was a strong possibility your dad was fixing to put you back in the car and take you right back to find out what in the heck's going on.
Yeah.
And some of that's changed. I mean, a kid will go home, not show up for practice, and then when the consequences have to come with not being there, the parent feels like that you're not treating their kid right. Some of those things are a little bit different. So, we try to make sure that we are communicating with all of our parents and they know the expectations of what it's going to take to be a football player here at Dublin, and let chips fall where they may.
Right, Coach. That's right. Hey, we talked a little bit about offense, obviously, or we covered offense, and then going on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I know you're going to have several.
Yeah, we're going to have
both
several
ways.
of our
You
kids
gotta
that
put
are
your
going
best players out.
and we strive to, our young men, all of our young men are going to participate on both sides of the ball.
All right.
They're going to play offensive side, they're going to play the defensive side. If we honestly feel like that there's not much change between the 1 and 2, then obviously our kids are going to play one way. But you better be ready as soon as that backup or the starter got hurt.
Sure.
You got to have a quality backup. So yes, a lot of the names that you hear are going to be the same names that we talked about a minute ago, but they may end up being a starter on one side, but a backup that plays a lot on the other. And for us, we found that magic number is I need 20 young men. We need 20 young men that can fit the necessary size, speed type requirements that you need. And if you've got that, you can have a solid football team. And right now, we kind of feel like we're at about 17 of those people out of those 20. But we'll start and talk about our defensive front first, and I thought that went pretty solid for us through the course of the spring. But our defensive ends are Bruce Guyton, Moses Simmons, Nick Sumner has done a really good job for us. And the guy, again, I mentioned a minute ago at tight end, but really where he's impressing everyone is at defensive end, and that's Stephen Linton. Now, those 4 young men can all play at a level on Friday night that we can win football games. So same names you heard on offense and a lot of positions, but what you're looking at is a couple of them may be on offense, then on the defensive side, or all 4 of them could end up on offense. But on the defensive side, they're able to alternate, rest each other,
Sure.
and stay within the game. At defensive tackles right now, Levante Walden, Colby Todd came out of spring. Now, Colby's been a remarkable young man during the offseason and during spring practice with his attitude, and didn't play for us last year. Didn't play as a freshman. He's going to be a junior. Has decided that, hey, I'm going to do what I'm asked to do. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
Good.
He's loving it. He's playing well and doing a good job. And then Jaden Dariso, Malik Hazley, Ty Seals, Devin Horn, all of those young men are tipping the scales at 250 or better.
Awesome.
And they're inside there at defensive tackle. And, you know, I've got a group of 8th graders. I'm going to hit their names right quick. They're going to be 9th graders. But Khalil White, Barrick Wadley, Jermaine Stuckey, all 3 of those young men right now are hitting the scales at over 250, and they're not fat. You know, they've got to learn how to play at a high school speed.
Sure.
But when they do that, they've got a chance to be pretty darn good.
Awesome. Awesome. Coach, we wish you the most success this year. Now, you got a little bit different schedule. Let's run through that so everybody knows.
Oh, gosh, the 4 non-region games, we're going to open our season this year in Tattnall County.
Yeah.
And, gosh, I just know what Coach Kaiser's always been since he's been down there. He cut his teeth under Buzz Busby. Like to jump in that too-tight wishbone and beat you down for 4 quarters and hope to wear you down and wear you out. I know he's dabbled in some other stuff, but it seems like that's what he always goes back to is smash mouth football.
Yeah.
And so that'll be a tough one. Then Veterans rolls into town here in the 2nd game of the season. I think they're going to be a 5A school this year, and that should be a tremendous home opener, a huge crowd here with the Veterans people coming in, and home opener for us. I mean, we'll get our oil checked real quick with a good 5A quality team coming in here for the home opener. Now, the 3rd game of the season is going to be Wilkinson County. We haven't played them since I've been here, and Lord knows they must be loaded because you're looking around for a game, and all of a sudden Wilkinson County calls you and says, hey, Coach, we want to play this year. And when a smaller school starts calling the larger schools, they know they're loaded. And but that should make for an interesting ball game. And then our 4th game, non-region game, is the oldest rivalry game on our schedule, other than Dodge County, and that's Swainsboro. And then with the new region alignment, it's going to be Washington County and East Lawrence. It's going to be Dodge County, Dublin, and then Northeast and Southwest Macon, along with Bleckley County. So Waco, East, Dublin, Bleckley, Dodge, and then you jump up and you get Northeast and Southwest Macon. So great schedule. Our scrimmage this year is going to be Twiggs County. They've been here 2 years in a row, so we owe them a trip back to Twiggs, and that'll be our spring or fall scrimmage.
Yes, sir. Coach, in just wrapping it up, share with everybody how it feels when you going to coach or when you're going to go into spring practice and Riley comes back and helps you with that, man. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I'm excited that Riley's with us, and because he knows what we're doing. You know, a lot of times when you bring in a new coach or whatever, you've got to teach them your terminology. You have to teach them your system. Now, I heard him tell one of the guys the other day, well, I've been dealing with this for 21 years, in that this is what we do, this is how we're going to do it, this is how we need to teach it, now let's go get it done. And he hears me correcting those running backs, and that's what he's going to work with, is our 2 wing back positions. And so I'm excited, that he wants to be a coach, that he grew up in a family where coaching was important. That's what he wants to do. He loves to teach. He left Dublin High School as our salutatorian and a star student. He's a product of Dublin City School System. He knows what's expected here, and I think he was a long-term sub basically at the middle school during the second semester of this year, and he had his own classroom and did his own thing, and I really think he's excited about teaching and wants to do a great job. And if I can get him to move out of the house, things might be better, though. I'm kidding.
I know it. But
we'll
he's
see.
lived it all his life. He
Yeah.
knows it. And,
That's exciting, and we're still
That's
in the
gonna help.
market right now. We're looking to bring in one more coach, maybe 2, and that would fill out the staff. We were 1 coach short last year, and so that's the next big major emphasis for us right now, is going into the summer program and solidifying a couple of more great coaches, and got a job to do. We got to go get it done.
Yeah, Coach, it's that time of year, and I know everything will fall into place for you. It usually does. And you'll draw in talent in coaching just like you do with players, and you coach them up. We appreciate what you do as always, Coach. You're a heck of a coach, heck of a man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mr.
All
Mayor.
right. And we're glad to be out at Dublin High. We'll be back checking in with Coach Roger Holmes soon, so stay tuned.